I have your attention? I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to our outreach. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Chief Mark.
How are you? Nice to see you.
That's enough out of you. Come here, start trouble. All right, so if anybody would like to move up and get closer, it's entirely up to you. We're going to be working off this screen here. So maybe we can see. I think when we shut the lights, you'll still get a good view. But if not, feel free to move up. The reason we had this outreach, Coffee with a Cop, we really want to meet you and we want you to get to know your officers that work in your neighborhood respectively. Initially, we were going to talk about, and we still are, by the way, we have a few presenters here tonight, burglaries, home burglaries, and how to prevent them, and what to do. In light of our latest incident that happened in Florida with the school shooting and some surrounding communities, there have been some incidents. We are also going to divert our program tonight to talk about school safety and certain signs to look for. You see our officers have handed out some handouts. That's going to correspond to the presentation tonight, so you have something to remember and talk about tonight. So again, initially we were wanted to hear from you, and we're still going to do that to some extent, but I don't want to take away from the important part of the program, the school safety issue. But we did want to hear from you if you have any certain issues, how you want your police to respond, and quality of life issues. We wanted to hear from you. So we can still do that. We have a couple of presenters. Lieutenant Pignataro, he's our community relations liaison with the community. He's going to give you his information, how to contact him. He'll set up a block watch for you, and he's going to talk about that. We have Detective Reyes. He's going to talk about the home burglaries prevention and what to do. And also we have Sergeant McAloon. He's going to touch on the school safety program. So please have your coffee. We're going to start now, and we'll get started. And please hold all your questions till the end, and we will answer them. We want to hear from you, like I said. So enjoy. Lieutenant Pignataro.
Thank you, Chief. Like Chief Mark Landikini said, I am Lieutenant Frank Pignataro. I am in charge of community relations. So if you guys want at the end, come meet me. I'll be in the back. I'll be all around. I have my contact information here. I have my business cards. I will be handing these out. I also have a registration form. For those of you who have home surveillance cameras, if you want to register those cameras with the Belleville Police Department, come see me. We'll fill out the form, and we'll keep those records in-house. And if there is a crime or incident that happened in your neighborhood, the Detective Bureau will contact you so they can review your cameras. As far as the Neighborhood Watch program goes, if those of you who want to sign up and be part of it, please give me your contact information in the back. I will be sending out emails shortly, and I will be making phone calls to set up a Neighborhood Watch meeting, and we'll discuss the plans for the Neighborhood Watch program from there. So again, at the end, any questions, feel free to come see me. Any concerns, come see me. Any of the officers you see in the area, room here, please ask them any questions. And Detective Reyes.
Hi, how are you? I'm Detective Reyes from the Belleville Police Department. I'm going to speak to you about burglary prevention. It's one of our topics, followed by that, the active shooter will be spoken by our sergeant in charge of the Detective Bureau. Once we get set up, we'll begin. This is my partner, Detective Dox, who will be doing half of the presentation with me as well. Again, just to reiterate on what the lieutenant said, he will be handing out those flyers, not the flyers, those pieces of paper for registration for cameras. If you have that, that actually is very beneficial to our bureau to know what cameras we can go to when we have burglaries. So as we begin, burglary prevention. I'll speak as loud as possible. I know it's a big room, it's tough to see. Next slide, Matt. Just to begin, just when you leave your home, even if only for a few minutes, make sure that all the doors and windows are locked. Keep your garage doors closed and locked, whether you're at home or not. Some of this is common sense, but we're going to just touch upon it again because we all live fast lives and sometimes we forget these things. Observe carefully and report all suspicious persons and vehicles. Maintain proper lighting. That's within your home and out in the exterior of your home. Attempt to get license plates, numbers of these suspected vehicles. If you see a suspected vehicle, make sure you write down that license plate. Do the best you can. Even if you get a couple characters, You don't need the whole license plate. Some of it will do. Report any crime to the police at once. The longer you take, the harder it is for us to do our investigation. Again, your assistance cooperation with officers in averting burglaries in your neighborhood is effective and needed. That is a huge thing that we're attempting to get out to our community, is we need your assistance. We can't do this on our own. It's tough to police this town if we don't have help from you guys. Make sure all locks and doors and windows are in the working order. I know sometimes it can be nice weather like today, we leave those windows open, we shut them, and we forget to lock the windows. Unfortunately, we have lots of burglaries because of that. One instance on a one nice day, we might have that. Just some lines of locks. This may sound silly, but try not to leave your garden tools, lawnmowers, bicycles, and other property unattended in your yard. You do have some strangers that walk by or individuals that will take that off your yard, and that's unfortunate. When you are in the yard, lock all your doors. Daylight burglaries while people are at home are common. This happens a lot. You can be home, you can be out in the yard, people are entering your home. If you happen to leave town, arrange for someone to mow your lawn, pick up circulars, mails, and newspapers. Don't advertise your absence. Try to avoid publicizing vacations ahead of time. Many burglars watch their social media accounts on vacations. They put it on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. People are watching. I know it's nice to put your vacations up, but they know you're not home. So just make sure your neighbors know, and any other family members you have. Leave lights on in the house. But now where the lamps can be seen, the light should be diffused, so it looks like more than one room is lit. Inexpensive timers are available that can be set to automatically operate lights and radios and at appropriate times. You can buy those at Home Depot, Best Buy, all types of timers can be set. A residence that presents a lived-in appearance is a deterrent to burglars. I'm going to have Detective Doc speak on this. This is diversion burglaries. It's a type of burglaries that have been occurring lately. You've probably seen in the news. My partner is actually very well rounded with that, so he'll speak on that.
Diversion burglaries are becoming a bigger and bigger epidemic all over the state of New Jersey. We actually, in Belleville Township, we actually had a job like this last year. It actually occurred in our town, and we're just going to discuss a little bit about how we can, be more educated and not afraid to call the police. That's really what it comes down to, and I'm going to get a little bit more into that as we go. Diversion burglaries. There are con artists and scam artists who can attempt to enter your residence, such as posing as utility workers. Be cautious of strangers. Remember, a burglar rarely looks like a burglar. When in doubt, call the police. So, basically, the scam is, I dress myself up as a utility worker. Maybe I put a lanyard on, maybe I put a nice cute little traffic vest on, maybe a hard hat, maybe I even have a radio in my hand. I go to a couple of residences, I knock on a door. I'm specifically targeting elderly people. That's what I'm doing. My target is an elderly person that's most likely in the house alone. I'm going to knock on the door, and I'm going to claim that I'm a utility worker. Maybe you know what, ma'am, you're home alone. We're from the water department. I got to check your pipes. I bring you down to the basement. I say, see these pipes right here? I have to run back upstairs. Can you just knock on this water pipe in the basement? And I'm going to tell you when I hear you knocking. So now, you're alone in the basement by yourself. You're knocking on a pipe. And this gentleman, usually he works with more than one person, notifies the other people that he's with, and now you have 2 or 3 people upstairs in your house taking jewelry, going through your items while you're in the basement. And you don't even know what's happening. And unfortunately, it happens every day in the state of New Jersey. These are con artists. They work the Eastern Seaboard together as groups, and they're doing it. And we actually had one in Belleville last year. Never admit anyone into your home unless you know them. Demand credentials before admitting a salesman or repairman, particularly if you have not requested their presence. Refuse to deal with individuals of this type who do not present identification. and notify the police immediately. So basically, don't let anyone in your house, just because they say that, maybe they're wearing a traffic vest, like I said, and they say they're from the water department, ask to see credentials. If they say they're from PSE&G, let's see if they actually have a card on them that says they're a worker with PSE&G. And the bottom line is, if you ever suspect that maybe something just doesn't seem right, call us, call the police. Even if that person does work for PSE&G, you know what, we'll come, we'll check it out. He does work for PSE&G. Everything's okay. We don't mind. That's what we're here for. We're open 24 hours a day. So don't be afraid to call us if you feel something is suspicious about the person that's trying to either enter your house or your backyard or just knocking on your door. Be alert in protecting not only your home, but also your neighbors as well. Don't tell a stranger that your neighbor is not at home. Again, these people, they're going to come, they're going to knock on your door, and maybe you're not the person that they're trying to target. And they're actually looking for an empty house. Oh, excuse me, sir. I'm working for PSE&G. Do you know if your neighbor next door is home? Well, no, they're on vacation. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day. Next thing you know, now that person knows that there's an empty house next door and that the family's on vacation. So you don't want to be giving that information out to, suspected workers or salesmen or whatever they claim they're from. If you were leaving your residence for an extended time, such as vacations, make sure to leave information with a trusted neighbor as to where you can be contacted if necessary. Ask them to watch your house. Pretty obviously, but if you have a good neighbor on your street that you can trust, that goes a long way. If not, and you can do this even if, regardless if you told your next door neighbor, you can contact us, the Belleville Police Department, at 973-450-3333 and leave your information with the police desk, your address, how long you're going to be gone for, and we'll make it a lookout. We'll make sure that somebody drives by it a couple times a day. During the middle of the night, at 2 o'clock in the morning, they'll come in, we'll drive by and make sure, you know what, the house is secure, everything's okay, and we go on our way.
Just to touch on that real quick. Don't be embarrassed to call. We do that already for a lot of our residents. Make sure you call. It'll help. It'll help avert the burglaries.
Now, if your house has been burglarized, don't panic if your house has been entered. Contact the police immediately. Do not tidy up because you may destroy evidence or alter the scene, thereby hampering the police's investigation. Unfortunately, when a burglar breaks into your house and goes through your house, he's not clean. He's going to be tearing the place apart. I know it's embarrassing. You're saying to yourself, oh, I can't let the police see my house look like this. Don't touch anything. Just call us. Don't even go inside your house. If you see the door kicked in, just call us. Don't go inside. That's what we're here for. And the other reason, not only for your safety, but even for evidentiary purposes. If you clean up a crime scene, say there's a window that maybe was entered and a burglar opened the window to get in, we want to try to fingerprint that. And if you have your fingerprints on it, it's not going to help our cause. So don't touch anything, please. Try to have records of your personal items. Note serial numbers and description of all items. Use a bank vault for securities, coins, collections, old jewelry and selling needed valuables, and papers or security safe. So basically, when we show up, when myself and Detective Reyes show up to the scene and we ask what was taken, if you have a list and say it says, your tablet, iPad was taken, a computer, a television, if you have serial numbers, that helps us right away. So when we go to pawn shops, now we have the serial number. We can actually check. Also, if there's pictures, say you have a picture of a ring or a necklace that was taken, if you have pictures, to describe it to the best of your ability, we can go to the pawn shops and actively look for that item that's missing. Safes, obviously, they help as well. Description should include model numbers as well as serial numbers and unique identifying marks, scratches, discolorations. Maintain photographs or catalog pictures of items that cannot be marked, such as jewelry, rare coins. Like I said, pictures go a long way, they help. Now we're going to move into motor vehicle burglaries. Very popular, unfortunately, in Belleville Township and really all the surrounding areas. And it's not just, it's happening all over the state. We're going to talk a little bit about how you prevent motor vehicle burglaries. Do not leave your vehicle unlocked. Obviously, it seems simple, but you know what? A lot of times, thieves are going to just walk up and down the street, pulling on door handles at 2 o'clock in the morning until they find a car that's unlocked. And I hate to say it, but there's going to be at least one car on that street that's left unlocked. It's just, that's how it goes. Not everyone locks their car. I can't reiterate it enough. It seems simple, but lock your car, please. Do not leave your keys in the ignition. Simple, but people do it. Do not leave your windows down or partially opened. Do not keep hidden spare keys around the battery or bumper area. Those are the hideaway keys. Sometimes thieves will look for them, like the magnets that you can stick a hideaway key underneath the bumper. If you must leave your car key in your vehicle for services, parking, valet, leave only the ignition key. Do not leave your name and/or address in the vehicle or on a keychain. And do not leave valuables in the car. A lot of times thieves are going to walk up and down the street and they're going to look for that car that has a GPS. If it's laying on the front, passenger seat, that's something for them to go for. If it's there, it makes their job easier.
Last but not least, we're going to talk about package thefts. This was a big thing that happened during the holidays. I'm sure everybody read about that, how package thefts were happening. We actually had this in our town a lot, in the surrounding towns. And here's just some things to avert that. It's unfortunate, but even when you have things mailed to your house, people will take them. Track your packages with technology. Most of these items you order from Amazon or Craigslist, or you can track them on your phone. They'll actually show you the route. They'll show you when it was sent out, and you can know when it's coming and when it should arrive. Follow the package on your phone to know when it will be delivered. Like I said, modern technology allows us to track shipment all the way through delivery. Keep an eye out for deliveries. If you don't have access to tracking technology, be vigilant and keep an eye out for the package. Know when the mail comes. Get familiar with your mailman. Speak to them. That's what they do. Talk to them. They know where your packages are. They know when they're coming. Work something out with them where you can leave those packages. Make sure to check for it shortly after it's supposed to be delivered. Enlist some help. Have your packages delivered to your neighbor's house or family member's house. I know some websites you can actually deliver it to a different location, and they'll allow that. If you know that you're not going to be home or it's difficult for you to get away from work, then do that. Check with your employer to see if you can have packages delivered to your workplace. And invest in some technology, such as surveillance cameras and doorbell cameras. Install one so that you'll have video evidence of any possible push snoopers. This works for us. We may not get your package back, but we can stop the other packages from being taken. Package thieves like that. They'll hit one spot and they'll go around that whole block because they know nobody's watching on that block. Some type of surveillance cameras. This is the new one that we with the Belleville Police Department have been advocating. It's the Ring. It's a doorbell. You hit the doorbell, it'll come out there. There's the Arlo cameras. They're small. They're wireless. And I believe the Nest camera is one more. Go to the next slide. Again, this is the Belleville Police Department with video surveillance company Ring to make surveillance systems more affordable to its residents. The systems made by Ring are motion activated. Can stream and record to smartphones and feature a two-way talk feature. Belleville residents get a $25 off at ring.com using our promo code at 14Belleville. That's all together, 14Belleville. Sergeant Macklin, if you can come up and speak a little bit more about that.
The Ring camera is a promotional that Ring offered to us for Belleville residents. You go online to their website, any product you choose is $25 off. You just have to put that code in the bottom. What that does, if you're not familiar with it, I have it. It's basically a virtual network. So you can communicate with other Ring users that have it. So for example, if a suspicious person rang your doorbell, you can send that video and it'll go out to a geographical location in whatever you set parameters. So say you set 2 miles. Everybody with a Ring camera in those 2 miles will get that video. It's motion activated to your cell phone. So if somebody walks onto your porch, your phone rings like a doorbell. You look at it, you hit answer, you can hear it and see it in real time. You can also save it as a video clip if you need to later on. Ring is just one. Nest makes the The outdoor cameras, same thing, it's motion activated, and you get an email or a text message to your phone. I'm not too familiar with the Arlo product, but our point with this is, if you have video surveillance, it helps the investigation. If we're looking for a crime, and we go down the street and we see a video, we're looking for you to voluntarily register your cameras with our police department. So we have a database. It doesn't mean we're gonna come to your house at 2 in the morning to, ask to see your video. But it saves us the time of going door to door and asking, hey, do you have a video? Can I see it? Can I use it? We've solved a lot of crime with video surveillance in this town, and our goal is to network the entire town together through that.
Just real quick again, that promo code is 14 Belleville. You can find that promo code on our, the Facebook page. We have our Facebook page, Belleville Police Department page. You can find it on there. We have the promo code for everybody. The town website is also on there. At this time, do we have anybody have questions about what we spoke about? For myself, Detective Doc, or Sergeant Backlund?
Do you have a link for that, ring?
Yes, on the Facebook page and also on the town website. But we can actually go back to that if you like. Would you like to see that again?
Yeah.
It's ring.com.
Ring.com.
Oh, ring.com.
And then upon checkout, you'll see a thing that says promo code. That's where you put that.
Now, is there a way to add you into that network so you don't even have to contact?
Well, that's what, I'm sorry, I mean,
The person that owns it doesn't even have to do anything. Once you
we can't
register.
access it without it.
We can know you have it, but we can't access your cameras without a search warrant or your consent.
Oh, okay.
We're attempting to do a filing system, which is better for us, so we can, instead of knocking on everybody's door, we know exactly which houses have surveillance cameras and which houses don't have surveillance cameras. Anybody else?
I have a question. Did you guys know if anybody getting a letter from BSEG about coming out and installing new meters or anything?
No, it's to, I got it today and I called and they said that it was, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
That it's to inspect the
Yes.
gas meters.
Yeah, I got it too.
And that you should call to make an appointment. So I called.
No,
with
they
one-
didn't, on mine it didn't
I
say that.
what it was about, there was a lot of noise and hanging out in the back, which seemed weird to me. And when I said, do we need an appointment, how does this work, and I got a little deeper into it, she basically said, no, it's totally optional, we just want to let people know that we're going to be in the area, and she hung up on
Just
me,
for
and that was it.
a little tip for that, if you do get a letter from your utility company, call a different number that you know for the utility company and verify it. Yeah, just call it off your bill, go on the website, get there, that's usually what I do. If they call up and they're trying to sell me something, well, let me see if this is true, then I might have to apologize to that customer service person afterwards. But that's how you verify it.
Just one thing with that, if you're not sure, call the police. We don't mind coming. I'd rather come and it be the public service guy than come for a burglary 2 hours after that.
Well, mine didn't say that. It just said that it'll take 10 minutes and,
Well, they are doing, we put it on our Facebook, they are doing meter checks, they notified us they're gonna be in the area, but if you're not sure, just call the Belleville Police.
They didn't say to call for an appointment, they just said
No.
that they were gonna come.
Right,
To have a
pop in.
child,
Yeah.
have somebody 18 years or older there, if they have to come in the house. So they didn't say what day.
No, they're gonna come at random, but the thing we're trying to get through is just don't assume, if you have any doubts, please call us. Burglars are gonna use this scenario to take advantage of it and say they're from public service, but all public service employees have proper ID.
Yeah, they wrote that in the last paragraph. They
Yeah,
have
but
to
again,
badge
give us a
and-
call, we'll come check them out real quick for you. A lot of times, we can contact the office and have them check in with us and let us know what neighborhood they're working. They're pretty cooperative, public service. Matter of fact, we'll do that. We'll get in touch with them, see if they can give us this way we can let the desk know, the communications at headquarters know what neighborhood they'll be in at that particular day. So we're gonna try and do that too. They're pretty cooperative up here.
Any other questions before we move on to the next?
I just wanted to say one thing. I have the Arlo video surveillance system, and it's actually a really great system. One of its big virtues is it's wireless, so you don't have to run wires, and if you want to reposition the cameras around your house, you can do so at your
They're
convenience.
actually, they're magnetic. Just touch on
Right, they have
and
magnetic-
they can
right.
move around in different locations. I have that at my house as well.
The only drawback is that because they're wireless, they use batteries, and if you're going to get the Arlo system, I recommend that you buy the extra batteries, because while they last for about 7 to 8 weeks between charges. You do have to periodically change the batteries. And just last week, there was a big accident on the corner right up near my home on Malone and Floyd Street. But unfortunately, the cameras have a radius of about 30 to 45 feet. That intersection's about 120 feet away from me. So unfortunately, my video, I have the right before and right after. I have the intersection clear, and then the first Belleville police car showing up. But unfortunately, I didn't capture that particular incident in time. But I have, as I've offered to Chief Minikini and other members of the department, my video system is always available to you. And one of the other virtues of the Arlo system is that you can, all of the video is uploaded to the cloud, and you can share it with anyone you want, the police department or family, friends, anyone you choose. So it's a really good system. It's very, Costco was selling it just a few months ago, a full system for, I think, $120, 2 cameras, and with the other needed devices, a hub and everything else. So it's a worthwhile investment.
Who installs it?
You do it yourself. It's simple. It's just plug in, connect it to a computer, and you're all done.
People that live there are constantly ordering stuff from Amazon, whatever, and they're constantly leaving notes on the glass petition. I'm home, their number. I mean, to me, that's kind of like, anybody could just call and say, I'm here with a packaging. Once they're in the building, anything could be, they can hide in the laundry room or something.
Good happen.
Can you stop that, or?
Where do you live again?
27 Rocco Street.
You'd have to take that up with your superintendent.
All right.
Speak to them about it.
We can help,
Oh,
we'll go with you to speak to the superintendent if it's a crime issue.
Yeah, but if you feel uncomfortable,
Well, I'm just saying, but they really should.
yeah, they,
All right.
We can only advise, we can't make people
I know.
take our advice.
I kind of like don't want to
Yeah.
push people's buttons.
That's what this is all about. We're here to try and give you some tips and
Right.
advice, but we can't make you
Okay.
do it. We hope you will.
All right.
Thank you, Detective Reyes
Thank you.
and Detective Dox. That portion of our program, again, I hope you absorbed it and understand it. We wanted to really expand on this. That was the purpose of this meeting today, initially. And we wanted to hear from you in the community on your ideas and your concerns. All right, but again, as I spoke earlier, due to the Florida shooting and incidents going on in the surrounding communities, we're going to have this next presentation. Very important. School-age parents here tonight? Do you have any of them? Any? None? At hope.
And those are the ones that should be here.
They're the ones that really want us to be here. So maybe if you know anybody who has children in school, you can share this with them. We gave you the handouts. Our intention is not to frighten anyone. Matter of fact, we're disturbed that children are living in fear today. That's not our mission here today. We want to make everyone aware of what to do. Our goal is prevention of these incidents. And that's what we're going to do here tonight. Sergeant McElroy gives an excellent presentation. Again, we're not here to frighten anyone, but we do want to make you aware. And again, please share with parents of school children that you do know of your family.
It's going to be scary.
All right? Well, we don't want people to be scared. Now, again, you'll see. Sergeant McElroy will let you know we're here for prevention of these incidents. So without further ado, and then we'll have a nice Q&A after this, and I promise you we'll get away your concerns in. Sergeant McElroy.
Thanks, Chief. As Chief Minikini said, my name is John McAloon. I'm a sergeant in the Detective Bureau. We've been teaching active shooter since 2003 in Belleville. I like to think we're one of the towns that have done more rather than less. When you hear active shooter, people have many different definitions. If you watch Fox News, you'll get one definition. If you watch CNN, it'll be totally different than Fox News. It depends on what channel you watch and where you're getting your information. And everybody focuses on the aftermath, on after the incident happened, on the response of the police, on how the teachers did, and the loss of life of the victims. What we're trying to get across is there's more to an active shooter than the final stage, and you'll see that as we go along. But the first slide, sorry. So I put this up there as the first slide because the picture on the bottom right was Columbine. Columbine kind of changed the police response tactics in America. So that's the reason that we have that up there. Okay. We'll start off with the definition. Like I said earlier, depending on what channel you're watching, you'll get a different viewpoint. This is the definition that we use. An active shooter is defined as a suspect or assailant whose activity is immediately causing death and serious injury. That's the first part. So the perpetrator or suspect has to be causing death and serious injury. Secondly, the threat is not contained and there is immediate risk of death and injury to others, meaning a school, a hospital, a sporting venue. It's a target-rich environment, meaning there's multiple people there and the active shooter has the freedom to go wherever he or she wants until we as police or a civilian takes action to stop that. So typically the mentality of active shooters, we know they have a desire to kill and seriously injure without concern for their own safety. Many active shooters kill themselves. This most recent one in Florida, he did not. But for the most part, they tend to kill themselves prior to being captured by the police. They seek targets of opportunity. School-age children in America, whether you know it or not, are targets of opportunity, as sadly and sadistic as that sounds. The shooter will continue to move throughout the building until stopped by law enforcement, suicide, or some other intervention. So I said to you before that Columbine kind of changed our tactics, and I'll get into that later. But the quicker there's intervention, the quicker the scenario ends. So the active shooter intent we know is to kill and injure, and this is what caused the change by law enforcement. The thing with this is losses can be mitigated with community preparedness training. That's why we're putting this together. Everybody heard about the Florida incident. I'm sure all of you heard about the video that occurred in Nutley. There was one recently in Bloomfield. Every agency across the state is probably having similar incidences where people are posting things on social media. And while we may dismiss them as non-threatening or non-credible, there's a theory behind that, and we're going to get into that now. So there's 5 stages of an active shooter. The first one we're going to talk about is the fantasy stage. The shooter pictures himself doing the shooting. He fantasizes about the headlines, right? Because every time there's an active shooter, we see the kid's picture 75,000 times across every news station. Oftentimes they draw pictures or doodle sketches of what it would look like or how it was going to happen. They often discuss their desires with friends. That's probably the most important point on this slide, is in this fantasy stage, they talk about it. And that's what we need to get across to these school kids that are friends with them or see this on social media, or even you as parents. If your kid comes to you and says, hey, mom, dad, so-and-so posted this online, it's your obligation to call the police. Because if there's police intervention at this stage, there's 0 casualties. It's not just a crazy kid posting something online. It's a fantasy. Most kids don't fantasize about shooting up a school. There's something terribly wrong with that. And we need to be notified if that's occurring. Next comes the planning stage. The suspect decides on the who, what, when, where, and how. Usually put their plans in writing. Again, they discuss the plans with other people, and sometimes they seek accomplices. They determine the weapons they're going to use. If the police are notified in the planning stage, there is 0 casualties. And all these active shooters that have occurred, it's because we've missed those 5 stages. Next is the preparation stage. The suspect is obtaining the weapons. He breaks into his grandfather's house, steals the rifle, goes and buys a gun on the street, is experimenting with explosives. They may stash weapons near the target site. The kid can't keep it in the house, so he puts it in a field close to wherever his intended target is. They conduct surveillance at the target location. They see what time the police car drives by. They see what time the school resource officer takes lunch. They see what time the school security guard leaves his post. And sometimes they call friends and tell them not to go to school. If your son or daughter gets a phone call from somebody and says, hey, you shouldn't go to school tomorrow, that's probably an important piece of information you need to relate to the police, because this may be more than what it is. If one of these kids calls the police, multiple funerals are prevented. It happens all the time, right? We get a posting online, we investigate it, it turns out to be not a specific threat, but it didn't evolve into that. Doesn't mean that it wasn't going to happen. Normal kids don't fantasize about shooting up schools. Next is the approach stage. This is the final stage. It's a very, it's the fourth stage. It's a very dangerous stage. The suspect made his plans, and he decided that today's the day he's going to act. He'll be walking, driving, or riding toward his target with his tools of death. This is particularly threatening to the officers on the road, and when we do our active shooter training, we drill this into their head. That normal car stop that you think is just a normal person may be a kid or a person bent on, taking the approach stage. So that's why you'll see officers approach cars with caution. We're constantly having them on high alert, not just for active shooter purposes, but in general. So let's just say during this stage there is contact with the police officer and he is aware enough to recognize what's going on. Through the investigation, it can be stopped. If he gets arrested for possession of a rifle or possession of a weapon, we thwarted an active shooter, we may never know that was the cause. Because they don't come forward and say, hey, I was going to shoot the school up today, but you guys stopped me and arrested me, so we're not going to do it. Finally is the implementation stage. This is the stage that everybody reads about on the news. This is the stage you see the videos of the ambulances pulling up to the schools and the kids running out the doors. Once the shooter opens fire, immediate action needs to be taken. The schools practice this every month. They're aware of their lockdown procedures. An active shooter will continue to kill until he runs out of ammo or victims, or he is stopped by the police or some other means. In their mind, top score is measured in kills. The minute that gunfire goes off, it becomes a statistic game to them. There's no humanity in it. They're desensitized to the fact that human lives are being lost. So, you heard all the preventive techniques. Now, this is what we do in Belleville, and some of them, these obviously I'm going to talk about. There's other ones that I don't want to put out there, so we left that off. We have armed retired law enforcement officers at every school. We have 2 school resource officers, one at the high school, one at the junior high. We have a partnership with the schools and the police departments. We go in there randomly at any time. Of course, we follow the protocol. We ring the bell, speak to the principal, and they allow us free access to the schools. Chief Menachini and Deputy Chief Corvo have made it a fact that patrol officers have to randomly patrol the schools. So when you see that police car sitting in the school parking lot doing paperwork, he's there for a reason. They could pick a lot better places than a school parking lot to sit and do their paperwork. But they know that that's where they're ordered to be. Our juvenile bureau is in contact with the school every day. They supervise the lockdowns. Every time there's a lockdown, juvenile detective bureau is there. We have community policing events at schools. We're trying to build bonds with these kids. We want these kids to come to us and say, hey, so-and-so doesn't seem right. I saw a drawing in his notebook that depicted him killing kids. We want that information. So we build relationships with kids by attending the school functions. And I don't know if you've seen it, but we've been at more and more events at the discretion of the chief. So what do we want? Ideally, we want a 2-way communication. We want the school to feel comfortable enough to call the police department and say, hey, I don't know why, but this kid doesn't seem right to us. Or, I don't know why, but this kid was talking about having guns and shooting up schools. Or, I don't know why, but we got this social media post and it just doesn't seem right to us. We want that basic information in the early stages so we can prevent this before it becomes a national catastrophe. So we ask that parents talk to their kids. With all these active school shooters going on, you cannot allow your child to sit in front of Fox News or CNN and continually watch the carnage. That's having a psychological effect on that kid. Whether you know it or not, they're bothered. That bothers them. A simple question was, how was your day? You might get a response you'll never expect. Every day, your kid you should talk to your kids. It takes 10 minutes, informally. How was your day? The kid might say, oh, it was good, but so-and-so did this today, and that raises a red flag. So we ask people to report suspicious activity, particularly who or what you saw, when it was you saw it, where it occurred, and why you think it's suspicious. Any social media post, if they're on a cell phone, take a screenshot of them. We have our own ways of preserving them, but it helps if sometimes, especially with like Facebook, Instagram, the names get mixed up. There's an underscore instead of a hyphen, and it's a totally different person. So take a screenshot. Obviously, if there's an emergency, call 911. And if not, the Belleville Police non-emergency number is up there. So basically, put the lights on. I know it was short. We kind of did the abbreviated version because we're more concerned with the preventative measures. But you'll hear the gun debate, you'll hear the video game debate, you'll hear the medication and the mental health debate. We're concerned with prior to all that. After the shooting starts, we've missed something. And as a community, we can't allow that. We can go and secure a school building like no other, but we shouldn't have to do that. We should have communication with parents. And that's why we really push the fact that we want people here, we want your feedback. If we need to do more, let us know. If we're not doing enough, then let us know and we'll make the changes. The chief holds monthly meetings to hold his supervisors accountable to these things. And if we're not at the schools and you don't see us there, let us know. We'll make sure that gets fixed. Chief, you want to open up the question?
Yeah, like I said, thank you, Sergeant. This is excellent. Like I said, we're here, we're trying to preach prevention here. It doesn't have to come to carnage. It doesn't have to. And this is what we want to communicate to the citizens out there, and the parents, and the students. So again, I know there's some board members here. They can relay that through their proper channels and get to the parents. Understand there's Belleville Times here, so maybe you could relay our message again. I hope more parents will come.
Is it possible, Chief, that you could do this presentation at the Board of Ed meeting? Maybe one of the larger ones where there are more parents and the students as well?
Absolutely.
Because this
Yes,
information
we
is
can.
vital.
We would welcome being invited to come do that. We actually, like the sergeant said, this was an abbreviated version.
Is that going to be on the website? Any of this?
No, I don't think we'll put it on the website, no, but I mean, we can do a much larger presentation. We did one many years ago. It was a great presentation. All the faculty was at the auditorium. But again, if we're ever invited by the board, we would gladly do it. We would do it anytime, anywhere, really. We're here, as long as people want to listen to our advice and our concerns, we're here for that.
So if we can coordinate it with the right timing, we can get it on the agenda so that we can be sure we have a good turnout for that Board of Ed meeting and you guys can do the presentation.
Absolutely. No, sir, that's fine. No problem with that. Again, we welcome that. This is what they're trying to get through. That's why please tell your friends, please tell your neighbors. Hey, where are you tonight? Why don't you come to the community coffee event?
I was to say, as a parent, I want to say thank you for the presentation, taking the time. I know you always do reach out to the community, and you made a lot of effort, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
We think so. Thank you for that, but we do think so, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Would you comment a little bit more on the use of the armed protection in schools?
Yes, well, each school, they have retired law enforcement officers working for the Board of Education, and they're positioned in each school. They're in every school. When it first initiated, they did ask our input and advice on it. Again, they're retired law enforcement officers. We're in good communication with them. and their supervisor and their superintendent. So we do keep a good communication open with them. And if they require our assistance, like I said, my officers, we have an agreement with the schools to stop in periodically. You know, they meet with the security officer, you know, check in with the principal, let them know we want to do a walkthrough. They do a walkthrough of the school, you know, and they meet the kids. You know, we don't scare the kids. We have fun with the kids and we talk to them. But you know, random stops, you never know what's going to happen. Like the sergeant said, that active shooter is not going to stop till he stops. So, again, you can never be fully prevent anything, but what the sergeant was saying, in the early stages, we can. So, when it gets to the last stage, someone's getting injured or dead. That's basically what we're saying. When you get to that last stage, when he actually enters the school, something bad's going to happen. That is unpreventable, all right? Unless we get there quick and take him out. But prior to that, like he was saying, this can end, we can stop it. And that's what we're trying to communicate with the public and educate them to look for these signs. All right? We're here 24 hours a day. We don't mind being bothered. A lot of people are afraid. I didn't want to call the police. I didn't want to bother you. That's just nonsense because that's what we're there for. And we like being bothered. My officers don't like that. I'm only kidding, but no.
A few years ago, you guys did a very good program at the high school where it was a very real simulated attack,
Yes.
if you recall.
Yes, that's what I spoke about earlier. Yeah, we can do that again.
I was going to say, is that something that's very hard to pull off, or would that be something that'd be worth to do another one?
No, so we could do it.
We've done it several times in the
You
past.
know,
You know, the thing is, we refrain from showing tactics.
yeah.
We have a fully functional SWAT team that's equipped, and they're all trained in this, but that's not something that we demonstrate our tactics, but we'll certainly demonstrate use of force scenarios and see how quick the lockdowns that the kids do, if you ever had the opportunity to witness it, is phenomenal. The schools are made of cement, the doors are very good, and once they're locked down, they're pretty safe. Don't forget, the chief has assigned our cars where they're in the vicinity of the schools. They're strategically assigned that way, so in case there's an event, our response time is minimal. But yeah, we've done many towns as far as demonstrations.
Are the windows of the school buildings, I guess I should know this, but I don't, bulletproof?
They are not.
They are not.
They're, again, so with a cost, you can do anything, right? I can make that school a total fortress, but it would cost quite a lot of money. So, and there's no guarantee that putting armed guards in the schools, putting metal detectors, bulletproof in the windows, securing this, there's no guarantee that we're going to prevent that. But if we follow these steps and we open up our lines of communication, we're more likely to succeed. So like, take for example, the fire department, right? You can't build a school in the U.S. unless it follows the codes of the fire department. It's got to be cement, the ceiling tile's got to be fire retardant, there's got to be sprinklers and smoke detectors in every so many feet. Law enforcement, we don't have that. There's no protocol until Columbine started, and now we're behind the times, catching up.
But we also don't want the children living that way, and the teachers, and the faculty. It's important to know, they become teachers because they want to teach the kids. They want to educate the children. Like, there's been talk of arming teachers and stuff like that. We really don't. Do you want to live in that kind of world? I certainly do not.
No, I agree with you.
I don't think children should live in fear, walking around in fear. We want to prevent all that.
This Florida school, from what I saw in the news, handled, I think, the situation and children, everything in a very organized manner. And
Well,
I'm
they're taught
wondering,
that. We have those protocols in place.
and I'm wondering if we have such a good system in place for when the real thing happens. Because we can make all the plans, but remember, the nerves of the teachers and the students and everybody
We do
react
drills.
differently when reality hits.
We're at the forefront. We were like one of the first
Yeah.
agencies around. Matter of fact, we trained other agencies, other jurisdictions on these
No,
protocols.
but it's not just about you, I'm talking about the school itself. Are the teachers and the administrators properly trained and equipped to handle such a situation?
From our observation, they're trained, equipment is monetary.
Yeah.
But their training, especially the grammar schools do a phenomenal job. You go into grammar school during a lockdown, you think
They're the
all the
best
kids
with
just
younger
got
kids.
disappear.
Yeah.
Kids don't make a sound.
They don't make a
High school, junior high, you got kids talking, fooling around because it's a drill. But that's what we found during our observation.
Nelson, I think this is one of the things we plan to discuss Monday during closed session at the next board meeting. It's something I've had put on the agenda, so we can talk about in closed session because of the security concerns.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry, this gentleman's first, yes, sir.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I was going to ask you, so these retired officers, they're armed?
They are.
So you're with the Board of Ed. What liability insurance do you have in case something goes wrong? These are your employees now with guns in school.
Well, I don't know the detail of the policy, but I know the policy does cover it. So I guess the clearer question to be asked, which I will follow up on, is if they were to shoot someone accidentally, how does that?
Oh, yeah, let's say there's a shooter, if somebody thinks there's a shooter, and there's other people in the vicinity, other people can get shot.
Right.
Now, are there any metal detectors?
We currently do not have metal detectors in our schools.
How about wands?
We do not have wands.
Do people have to go through a main entrance where there's
Grammar schools. Grammar schools are set up that way.
where there's security right where they come in?
Yes, sir.
And so maybe sometimes you might have to check backpacks or...
We do not check backpacks. We have a uniform presence generally at all the schools in the morning. I understand where you're going, and that was part of the argument I said in the beginning, where you can fortify it, or you can have the awareness stages. I can't mandate the school board to put a metal detector at every entrance. I can't mandate the school board to put an armed guard at every entrance. But we can ask the school board or the teachers, hey, open the lines of communication, because for too long they've been closed. The school is over here and the police department is over here. And the only time we mix is when there's a problem. That's what we're looking to change.
We're trying to change that.
Well, New Jersey has very good gun safety rules, laws.
We're the best in the country.
And the governor said he was going to be signing 6 more bills into effect. One of them is reporting somebody like a Nicholas Cruz. It would be an obligation to report. And the other thing is just the availability. Newark confiscated a whole lot of automatic weapons, semi-automatic, recently. I mean, I saw a picture in a paper, I believe, a pile of them. I mean, it's really incredible how many guns are out here. 300 million guns in this country in the hands of 70 million people. The majority of homes do not have guns. And when they burglarize you, the first thing they look for are your guns, because it's easy to fence those. And I'm a retired probation officer, and for years we went into the courthouse, no security, then all of a sudden they decided that everybody coming in, people that worked there for decades, had to empty their pockets and put their belongings through a metal detector, and walk through a metal detector. So it's really a different world we're living in.
Yeah.
But I have a first grader, granddaughter, 6 years old, and they do it's in West Orange, and they do this lockdown thing. I think it's horrible. I mean, yes, maybe we have to do it, but to live in a society like this is an epidemic.
That's what we're trying to do.
There were drills during the Vietnam War where you had to get underneath your desk. So how's that any different? You're preparing for a worst case scenario. Would you rather them not be educated and informed
We're talking about nuclear.
Let's stick to
nuclear.
questions, sir. I don't mean to cut you off. People will
That helps explain this a little bit. The gun debate is on one side, right? The mental health debate, because there's a tremendous mental health debate as to kids playing video games while they're mentally ill, and that causes shooting events. It's the desensitization of families. It's you and I not talking to our child about, be it gun safety, be it mental illness, be it the kid next door, which culminates into a collective problem. If we have each of those problems separately, you can own guns and be perfectly fine. You could have a mental illness problem and not have access to guns and be perfectly fine. You can play violent video games and have none of those problems and be perfectly fine. Put them all together, you got the perfect storm. So we knew that the gun debate was going to be a big issue for us, so we're kind of focusing on more of the recognition stages to help them.
Sorry, you had a question back there, so you were waiting a while.
Teachers are trained in lockdown and active shooter scenarios.
Correct.
I speak from experience.
Yes, we concur. Yes, ma'am.
How many kids in the high school?
1,400.
1,400, I was told.
That's in the whole district, that's not in the high school.
That's not in high school?
Oh, 1,400.
Yes, it is.
I think this is really great, especially following Ben, and it would be great if you could share it.
Speak up, ma'am.
I think this is really great what you're doing, and it would be great if you could share it in the high school with the students.
Again, we're not going to go where we're not asked or
Right,
invited.
but the Board of
all right?
Ed is
Okay,
here, so hopefully they'll hear
the
it.
powers that be would like to invite us, we're more than happy to be there. Any other community event also.
And my last question, what are some of the issues that you're seeing in the neighborhood?
Issues?
Yeah, like crime, what are the crime issues that you're seeing?
So we have our typical property crimes, right? We have very few violent robberies. We have a lot of motor vehicle burglaries, and of those motor vehicle burglaries, 99% of them are unlocked doors.
Yeah.
Of our residential burglaries, many of them are unlocked windows. That's why we put the slides up here, because those are crimes that are preventable, right? When we talk about robberies, we could do a whole presentation on awareness. And when you walk out of your house, or when you pull up to your house, how many people here call their loved one and say, hey, I'm home, so they come to the door? Guarantee, not many, right? How many people go to bed and leave their laptop on the front seat of their car? So those are crimes that are preventable. We're a very safe town, and there are those who will try to make it seem like we're not. But we have the statistics, and anybody that wants to see them, please feel free to come see us.
I think two of you tonight, after our little presentation, ran out to your cars and locked your door. So, again, it's working. So, again, we have the advice, we just need you to take it. Michael?
Yeah, just as a follow-up comment to what Georgianne suggested earlier, I'm going to recommend, we have 3 board trustees here, at least 3, maybe 4. Maybe there are 4 now. 4, I see Mr. Graziano's here. But I'm going to recommend to the board that we make this presentation a regular offering at our board meetings. And if, since time is of the essence, we're in the initial wake of what happened in Parkland, we have a board meeting on Monday. If we could possibly arrange it, are you available Monday to make this presentation at our next board meeting?
Chief decides my schedule.
All right, well, if at all possible.
Tells me I'll be there.
Right. I think the timing couldn't be better. We really should have this same presentation made at our next board meeting. And the other thing I wanted to say, Nelson brought up windows being bulletproof. As everyone in the audience knows, we just approved a nearly $50 million referendum. Essentially all the windows in all of our schools are going to be replaced. And it's my understanding that in the high school in particular, the exterior street side facing windows will have some bulletproof quality. It's costing us nearly $1.5 million to replace the windows in the high school alone. And that's only a little over 400 windows. And it averages out to about $3,500 per window. So I'm hoping for $3,500 per window, those windows will have some Kevlar or bulletproof aspect.
That's all great, it is.
Right.
Okay.
It's my understanding that at least the exterior windows in the schools will have some resistance to bullets.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Gail. I live in a new building they just built across the way, 608. And I've been seeing on the commercials, like when I'm watching television, the police are trying to reach out to the community, and the community saying what their needs are, and both are trying to address each other's needs. I think that's beautiful. Initially, I got offended because I was like, oh, Black Lives Matter, nobody cares. But I do see the initiatives that you guys are taking in terms of trying to get us to speak. And that's, to me, regardless of how many guns, how many weapons, how many machine, whatever, to check the students, we need to be able to talk to one another in honesty, from our hearts. You know what I mean?
Ma'am, initially, that's what this.
And I'm complimenting you on that,
Yes,
because
initially.
I'm letting you know that to me, it's not just a television thing. It's something that I feel I'm experiencing, and I'm just sharing with everybody here that is a great thing. We've got the ball started, so, I mean, I'm sure it has been started, but we all need to talk to one another, what we see, what we hear. We need to, I'm just making friends with the people next door to me, and we're looking out for each other. And through my, I guess just a paranoia, I've kind of been held back into, acquainting myself with my neighbors and stuff. But now that I see that this is an issue, and it's a worldwide issue. It's not just about black, it's not just about white, it's not about any kind of race or color. It's about people that want to live and enjoy their lives to the best of their ability, make sure their neighbor is cool and comfortable, but we all need to work together, we all need to share all this information that we've gotten, and for those that aren't here, we need to share with them as well. And I just want to thank you, all of you officers that are here, because you've added to my life, to my mental well-being, and to my safety. So that's all I wanted to share.
Thank you, ma'am. You deserve that. Every citizen deserves to enjoy the quality of life in their house, in their neighborhood, and that's what we're trying to do. You all work together. We're asking for your help, and that's again. I want to remind everyone to see Lieutenant Pignataro on the way out. If they have any specific ideas, we're going to make arrangements to contact him, and we want to hear your ideas too. Okay? So or concerns. So I want to remind everyone of that.
It's all basically getting back down to our core values as a family. You know, that family unit, we've lost it. Like you said, sitting down with your children and talking at the dinner table, asking them questions. And like the gentleman said before, like, you know, he's really upset that in the schools that, we're teaching the lockdown. We had that when I was in grammar school. We had to go underneath our desks for air raids. You know, most of the people here probably remember that if you're old enough. You know, those bells rang, we went underneath those desks. So there's always going to be something that is, we have to be prepared for. And like you said, it's prevention, that's good.
Yeah, and again, it disturbs me. I'm a parent, I'm a grandfather now too. The kids should enjoy their life.
Yeah.
I'm going to do an initiative, I was talking to the superintendent too, I want to get kids walking to school again. We're going to do an initiative, the cops are going to walk with them to the school to get them started. We have crossing guards on the corner. I don't want parents being afraid. It's a very safe town. Our officers are out there. And being a kid, walking to school was fun. You know, and we're going to try and do an initiative like that. But again, it disturbs me that as children, like the sergeant said, if you think this isn't affecting kids when they watch the news and they see this stuff, you're wrong. It's affecting them. And we want to put an end to it, and we really want to get them back to enjoying their youth and growing up. But thank you for that. Yeah, we're on the same page. Yes, Rita.
All the schools, are all the doors closed for admittance, or only one open that they can come in,
Yeah,
or all the doors
the
open?
grammar schools, definitely, that was asked before. There's one way in, a parent has to hand off their child to the faculty member there, and even when they're picked up, there's certain exits that they use, and then the doors are immediately closed afterwards. The security officer is there at the door to greet anybody after that. Nobody can get in the schools.
Same in the high school then, too?
High school too, again, you cannot just walk in like years ago. You have to ring the bell, the security officer will be there. You take your name, you have to sign in and stuff. Anything else? Yes?
I have a question about the burglary situation. Have you ever talked to the senior citizens about that? See, my mother lives in a nursing home, and she does get phone calls saying there's so-and-so, or they're looking for money.
The scams.
The scams. Do they actually come to the senior citizen complex here and talk to these seniors here? Like to
We do.
remind them? Okay.
We do. We have, again, we're just getting around to doing more of it. Again, we like to
I
be,
know the
we
seniors
like to
will
be
be available.
invited, we like to be invited, nobody likes pushing.
I know.
I know I'm very charming, but even then, I like to be invited.
You're welcome to visit the park. How's that?
The biggest challenge we have, as you can see tonight, is participation and having the people who
Yes.
have the open mind and the mindset to work together. And I think that's a message that we need to work very hard at accomplishing.
And also we have our town website, and we post things up on there. Hopefully in the future, we'll have our own police website, directly post things on there, but we're getting there. Little. Yes, ma'am, in the blue.
I would also like to thank you all for the service that you give to the community. But I also wanted to just throw out an idea about burglary prevention. And those of us that have garage door openers, if you're going to leave your car out on the driveway, to be sure that you bring the garage door opener into the house.
We preach that all the time.
So when we.
I'm gonna tell you another thing too, excuse me, John. Be honest now, how many women leave their pocketbook in the kitchen and get ready for the next day? You all do, you don't want to admit it.
No, whatever I
The
am.
partners know that, I do, they do know that. And we had a run one time, I think 2 years ago in the summer, the guy was going right through the kitchen windows, grabbing the pocketbook, but I mean, you know, so little things like that. But lock your doors in your car, I mean, almost all, I'm gonna say 90% of our car burglaries are open doors. It's preventable, we want to teach prevention. You know, we have a great police force, the best in the state of New Jersey. We go get them, we make arrests. We'd rather prevent them. You know, just have them drive around and communicate with you nice people and, you know, have a cup of coffee with you. That's what they'd rather do. But when something happens and they need to go get them, we have the best in the world. So,
Just one more question. One topic that wasn't covered tonight are lottery scams. In the last year, I've now helped 2 seniors. One who thought he had just won a $4 million lottery, foreign lottery, was about to send overseas $3,700 to get his $4 million. And I'm currently now working with another. I want to give you his name later tonight because I'm having difficulty convincing him that he hasn't won $12 million from Yugoslavia. And they told him $7,000 as soon as he wires it to them, they'll send him his $12 million. So I want to give you his name tonight. Afterwards, you can talk to him.
We couldn't touch on everything on one day. Like I said, we wanted to go with what's current right now. Our last meeting we had here was on opiate abuse, drug abuse, and that was very. You know, we had a lot of deaths occurring in our township, all over actually, so that's what we hit on now. Now we're hitting on this, but we do post things all the time on our website. Lydia?
Dr. Washington, we had somebody in there, who was to this day, to go by, my garage would go up, down, up, and down.
Cell phone.
And we weren't even using it.
Cell phones.
A cell phone?
Cell phone interference.
Well, let me tell you something, at that time, we didn't have cell phones.
You can change the setting.
If we drive by in the police car and click the radio, sometimes the car alarms go off.
Okay, that's what, my first thing on Monday, go to the garage door, and then it would go down.
What you can do with that, it happened to my dad in the past, you can actually put a switch inside off it because the frequency changes, just like Wi-Fi. And the technology, everybody likes Wi-Fi, but the encryption is not there like if it's a hard cable. But that being said, when you talk about that, there's a fail-safe switch that actually, when the garage is down, you can shut it off, and no matter what, no frequency will pick it up.
There you go. And that's preventable too.
Mark, is it true that in order to buy like a precursor car, like, you know how if you open your car door from
Your remote?
Remote, and somebody told me that if you go to AutoZone, you can buy these little things, and they work on some of the cars to automatically open them.
You have to go to the dealer and get that, because you need your VIN number. You need your VIN number for the newer cars. Really, maybe an older car maybe? I don't know of any newer cars.
I bought one on eBay the other day, and I drove over and I had to key in a couple times, and I cycled the locks 5 times, opened and shut the door. What's up, Mason? Press the button on here, and press another button on here, and then the lock clicks to confirm, so that's probably not. At least I know the answer to that.
I would just like to thank you for informing me. As a past chief, I know that there is a lot of training that goes on
the police department with active shooters. They were always trained for that. I know they're well equipped to go in there, but we could never stop anybody when we're trained to go in. And Chief, thank you for informing the people of Belleville what you are doing. You're doing a good job, you and the men, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, Mayor. We actually coordinated this whole evening here tonight. Deputy. Yes, ma'am.
I had one comment. We were just discussing a little bit here in terms of IDs with the students, and apparently the grammar schools do not have IDs on the children. I know,
I'm not in charge.
wanted to comment.
I would love to be in charge of everything, but.
Well, the Board of Ed is here. It's a good reason
But they're listening to
for
me.
two things, because, and this sounds not a nice thing to say, but in the case of identifying students when they're injured, it's very difficult sometimes with everybody being scattered. If they have those lanyards around their neck, you can identify them right away.
Yeah, you know, there's two schools of thought on that. I believe a lot of parents are concerned with a young child having an ID and a stranger copying it down. And so there's two schools of thought on that. I think that's what hinders the grammar school kids, I believe. Am I right in that?
I'm sure that has something to do with it, but I guess my comment would be, is that something that should be considered based on your experience with other districts? Do they have it? Do you know where they stand on it? Because as a grandfather, I'm for it,
Yeah.
to be honest. I don't see an issue with it.
I don't personally know of anyone that has it, but that hasn't stopped us in the past. We kind of like to be on the forefront.
Years ago, when I was in grammar school, we had a dog tag, actually. That's, you know, you have to actually get in under your shirt and look at it. But I mean, again, that's a school choice, parent choice.
It's even good to have it as far as identifying when the kids are going into the school. You can have any young individual dressed with the uniform and walk into the school. If these people are not, these students are not identified.
The older kids do have it now.
The older do, but I'm saying that I don't know about the middle school, to be honest. Do we know if the middle school?
They do, yeah, they do.
They do.
Yeah, I think it's just the grammar schools, and I think that the thought on that is,
It wouldn't be an issue in the grammar.
the parents don't want a stranger, we teach stranger danger.
But this is part of the, I guess, talking to the parents and educating them in the real world that we live in. Because I tell this to my daughter and her husband, you have to equip the children with the reality of what's going on. You can't have them in a bubble because they need to react on their own, under the advisement of the teacher, but they also have to have a survival instinct.
We don't want them frightened to death either. It affects their school grades, it affects their studies. Incidents such as this, believe it or not, it does. You know, Sergeant, to touch on that, it affects the kids. If they're living in fear, they're a straight A student, all of a sudden they're worried about, oh, am I going to
It's a
get
very
shot up
fine
in
line
school?
that I think it depends on the child and how the parent approaches, but there is a fine line that needs to be very clearly.
Again, we're open for ideas, we want to share our ideas with you, and that's why we had this thing. We're going to have many more of these. The warm weather's coming, you're going to see all my officers out there in your neighborhoods respectively, so say hello to them.
Now, the incident in Bloomfield was a joke, I believe, right? Of some sort? From what I heard?
I don't know the exact specifics of what happened in another jurisdiction.
It depends on who you ask. In my opinion, it's one of the statements.
Yeah,
exactly.
I would not joke about a social media post of me shooting up.
It's not normal, like the sergeant said. It's not a normal thing for a
Either
child.
way, if the incident was thwarted, it's a victory.
Yeah.
Whether you call it a joke, an implied threat, a non-specific threat, if it didn't happen, it's a victory.
I mean, I believe the superintendent sent out some literature, is that true? Tonight?
Yes, actually, yes. It's posted on the website with regards to something media.
That was an older incident that we uncovered as a police department. We were investigating something else that came about, and we shared it with the school system, and they chose to put that out. That's fine, you know. Again,
Actually, it was the county superintendent who chose to put it out.
Okay, whatever, that's fine. I mean, you know, but like the sergeant said, we don't know. It's a victim. We stopped it, you know, but we never thought there was a direct threat, but we don't know. It's not a normal behavior to post what these children do. So, again, that's another thing. That's what we want to do here. We want to stop, we don't want them getting to the third, fifth stage, fourth stage, and final stage. Definitely. Good.
I have a question. This is great. I love it. We're dealing with adults, and I know you're going to go and do it at the next board meeting, but what about one-on-one with the kids? Do you have a program to get, especially the high school and middle school kids, in a program to see you, not as a to be feared figure, but somebody that I can come to you and say, hey, you know what? This is happening, whether it's at home, at school. Do you have a program?
We have our junior police academy now. It's our second year. That will be our third year. We just instituted. We got kids going into the middle school. We have a course with them, and they speak to the officers when they go through.
Only on 1 week? You don't have a year-long program?
We are in the process of doing things like that, but we are school resource officers in the schools who are building the bonds with the students there, so.
Because I know my son belongs to a program in Newark. I live in Belleville, the police explorers, and it's a great program.
I believe I met with people regarding that, we're in the process of.
Personally, I think if your children stop hearing you and see you more as, you know what, this is happening at home, that this problem with this kid, my son tells me 90% of every time, I think he tells me 100%.
That's great.
You know, but if you guys have a more direct line of contact with the kids, I think that would be amazing. So.
If I may, that's one of the reasons with the school resource officer. They're there to kind of break down that barrier between the police and the students. And we're in the process now with Lieutenant Bignataro. Originally, I actually was the first school resource officer. One of my jobs was to go into the classes and teach different classes all throughout the school year. As the job evolved over the years, we kind of got away from that a little bit, but right now, Lieutenant Bignataro, also with Lieutenant Castellano, our juvenile bureau, and Detective Oriano, which is our high school resource officer, we're in the process now of developing some new topics and new ideas to go into the classroom to talk to the students about. I think right now, the officer's in the school every day, and his job is to go around, whether it's in the cafeteria, gym classes, or stopping classes when the teacher wants. A lot of times, like I can tell you from experience, the teacher has their lesson plan for that day. They don't necessarily always want a police officer in the school instructing that lesson plan. So we're in the process now of coming up with a schedule. We're going to be going into the classes more and just teaching different topics. And right now, I think the first topic is how to deal with the police, say, on the street or on a traffic stop or something like that.
Right now, what we're doing is we're working with the military training class for the high school. We're going to come out with a PSA, the proper way to act during a motor vehicle stop and the improper way to act on a motor vehicle stop. Once the weather gets a little bit warmer, we're going to start filming. It's going to be edited. It's going to be out there. We're going to teach you how to properly act on a motor vehicle stop and what not to do. Also, we're in the process of scheduling next week is Read Across America. So next week, we're going to be having officers going into the elementary school to have them communicate with children through Dr. Sewell. So we've always done in the past, and we're going to push it more into that. And we've got some good feedback. There was an event at the library the other week. It was the silent dance party. I got some feedback from the parents and kids were thrilled that we got from there, interacting with them, listening to that music with them through their headphones. Yeah, so we are getting positive feedback. We're trying to come up with new ideas how to get practice. This is something that we see a lot more of.
You will see in the high school and middle school, school resource officers getting into the classroom more often than they have in recent times.
Thank you for that. We're all open to hear you.
Well, like I said, I mean, I think the direct line with the kid is one of the biggest ways to prevent an issue is because I'm going to go tell you, thank you. I'm going to go tell you what's happening, not so much because my mom may not believe me kind of scenario. I'm going to shout out to you.
Erica, you gotta say it louder, we can't hear.
Okay. I am going to shadow what was just mentioned about the direct line between communication from the cops to the children directly, because at the end of the day, the officers are role models to our children. And at some point in time, since the students do go to high school and move on to different careers, it should also be something that our children can look or aspire to be. keeping your community safe, or also being involved in the community. It's very important for our children to do that because that helps prevent a lot of different things. So I know that it was just mentioned about an ongoing, program versus just a program for a junior police program. I know that the program, because my child belongs to it, is called Essex County Cops for Kids. It's a program, where the children are trained, the children are actively participating in different community events as security along with the officers. And that's a great experience for the children to have a sense of responsibility, especially our high school students, because all these things occurring happen to, be in different levels as they're growing, all these different challenges that, different states are going through with shootings. I think that having a sense of responsibility will definitely change the child's personality, and it'll also trickle down to their peers and their, friends as something of a role model, way of being and acting and being a model citizen. So I second the comments here.
I would like to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
When I was a child, my parents always told me, if I ever had any problem, to call a police officer. So I would say it starts at home.
I tell my son, you're not officers there to protect you, but you're there to respect it.
When she was a child, she was told to.
But a lot of parents don't have that mentality, and that's what we need to break.
Well, that's what we're here trying to educate the parents. Yes, ma'am.
I think so also, I know a lot is always mentioned with the middle school and the high school, but I think as well, the children in the elementary schools have such access to social media and technology that it's scary.
Whose fault is that?
Well, yeah, but you know what? The parents, but in the age that we live in, it's not just in the home that they have access.
That's true.
I love the idea of the positive role models at the middle school level, at the high school level, but if you could somehow incorporate the elementary school so that as they're growing, a lot of the identity is formed during those elementary school years, and a lot of kind of who their friends are, who their peers are, these social groups that form. If you have that positivity with the police department, and with all of that, it'll kind of follow them through. Just not to, once they get to middle school, they're already adolescents, like they already have a mind of their own, and they're kind
I
of.
think you came in late. We said earlier, our officers go to the grammar schools often. During,
I know, my son loves it, he talks about it all the time.
They do interact with the children at, when they're
But
and dismissal time.
Like
They do stop
programming,
in the schools.
yeah, like, how you said,
But
like.
there's always room for improvement. in
Right,
that.
absolutely.
I agree with you.
One of the things in our plans is we plan to educate the parents on social media. Because there are so many different apps, Kik, WhatsApp, your head will spin. So if the parents are aware what their kids are using, don't be afraid to grab the phone out of your kid's hand.
There's apps out there. There's apps out there where your children hide a real app underneath it. Usually a calculator. If you see two calculator apps, there's something wrong.
And the bigger issue is, how do you get the parents to the meetings to be educated on it?
Well, again, this is what we're doing. So you go tell all your parent friends that hey, you should have came to the coffee with a cop. Make sure you come to the next one. Oh, I mean that. That's how we're going to do it.
That's the way to build it.
Little by little, we'll build on this. Councilman.
I just wanted to say something. I've been here all my life. If any of you have ever seen it, we have a PBA rec league, we have PBA in the Little League. These guys, and in fact, I know Steve, Juan, Charlie, these guys have volunteered their time, from, we'll say, from when the kids are like 5, 6 years old up into just before high school, coaching. And I think it's a great thing, and they should be lauded for that, because they're doing a great job. And I want to thank you guys for all the interaction you've had with these kids, because I think it's helped the community. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Gang activity in town?
Minimal. There's people that would like to resemble.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, we treat those same people the same as if they are. But we keep track of that. We are on social media too. I mean, I don't want to, reveal everything that we do. We have access to social media, and we follow certain groups and trends, and we like to think we're on top of that. But to say a gang problem, I would say no. Just my opinion.
Yes.
A few years ago, by the golf course over here, they did a meeting with regards to social media. I don't know if you guys
State
remember.
Police, Attorney General's office, yeah.
That was
there.
very good, but again, it
That
was
was
a
very
few
good.
years ago.
We do a similar presentation.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't been.
Yeah, no, I got, again, I'd like to be invited.
Okay.
I'd like to force myself.
You live and learn. Now I know.
Like a family.
Glamour you only so much. Anyone else have anything to say? Please, that's what we're here for. And on your way out, you see Lieutenant Pignataro, and you want to sign up for block watch and stuff.
We got some.
So,
I just want to make a comment as a former administrator in town. After, I guess, Sandy, the Connecticut incident, we started to get a lot more prevention from the police department. They're always there. We had, I guess it was Sergeant Briner at the time, he gave the teachers training, that really, the students had the police in and out of the school all the time. The Belleville Police worked with my armed guard, who people don't even know that they're armed guards. But as an administrator, we would walk around the building with the police, with the armed guard, to see if there were any weaknesses. We don't have, I believe, no one has a better police force or a better fire department. If your child's sick, the EMTs are there immediately. The police, you can't even believe that they're at the door in the time. You know, you called and they're there. So, I mean, you really, really
yes, we got a lot of coffee and snacks up there, so please mingle and feel free to talk to any officer if you have any questions. Thank you again, we'll see you all soon.